Well, hey everybody, Jim here over at Justifiably Proud Productions, coming to you from the South Texas scorching heat. We're glad you're here with us today. Welcome back to the show. I encourage you to like and subscribe to our channel as we enjoy watching the program grow. Me and my team that put content together, I really enjoy seeing the growth of the channel, and we hope you enjoy the content as well. Earlier this week, I put out a little video about mental health and first responders, and to try to bring awareness to everybody. Of course, mental health is one of the life safety initiatives established by the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. And I just wanted to come back into the studio and talk a little bit more about it, So this week we're going to explore the topic of mental health, which sometimes a lot of people don't want to discuss or talk about. And I think it's very important amongst first responders that we be open to those tough discussions and topics. And just so happens today, we're going to follow up on the mental health aspect of being a first responder. So before we begin, I want to just take a moment to acknowledge the incredible sacrifices made by our first responders. Here in South Texas, it's not just fire, EMS, and police. We see a lot of military personnel. We see a lot of border protection, border patrol, U.S. Customs, being that we are along the U.S.-Mexico border. So we see all aspects of first responders. Just as a reminder, the things that we do, there's the obvious things that we do, like rushing in towards danger, risking lives to help others. But it's also important to recognize there's non-emergency stuff that can take a toll on responders too, like the bureaucracies of government, funding challenges, back in quarters type challenges, getting along with crews, things of that nature. It's very important to know that it's not just about, if you're a fire or EMS personnel, you basically have a second family, because of the shift schedule we work. And sometimes being back at the station, the things that occur just being in tight quarters with people or certain behaviors that people have, can play a toll on our first responders. So as we discuss mental health among first responders, let's start by understanding the unique challenges we face. We're exposed to highly stressful and traumatic situations, sometimes daily, sometimes monthly, sometimes yearly, sometimes if you're fortunate enough where you don't get a lot of those situations, you may not be exposed to it as often. But whether it's responding to emergencies, witnessing accidents, or dealing with the aftermath of disasters, of course, these experiences have a profound impact on our well-being. And I don't think that we necessarily talk about it. Let me just first start off by saying I'm not a licensed clinician. I don't pretend to be. I'm just sharing some of my experiences and some of the things that I've learned over my career as a firefighter. So, of course, the nature of our profession sets us apart from other occupations. We're constantly on high alert, ready to handle a crisis at a moment's notice. We must make split-second decisions, of course, that can have life or death consequences. Again, these things don't always happen on a daily, weekly, or monthly, or even yearly basis, but we're willing. All of us are willing to do whatever it takes when the time comes. I mean, that's what we signed up for. And the stress, pressure, and emotional toll associated with our work are unparalleled. We're asked to go into situations where we don't know. Perhaps we don't know the individuals involved. The days of everybody embracing firefighters as an example to show up to their house are over. It's not necessarily the case. Sometimes when we arrive on scenes, we're unwanted there, especially if we're responding to like a medical emergency and it turns out to be a domestic issue at that particular location. We may not be welcome there, so we have to be on guard to arrive on those scenes. Just as a police officer does, or an EMS provider, we need to be ready to walk into those situations and always expect the unexpected. The situational awareness that comes with the job cannot be put on the back burner. So, some of the questions are, how do we recognize that a first responder is struggling with their mental health? It's important to be aware of signs and symptoms. They may indicate that we need help and support. Of course, we may exhibit signs of emotional distress, increased irritability, difficulty sleeping, persistent feeling of sadness or anxiety. Changes in behavior such as social withdrawal or decline in job performance can also be red flags. This according to the information I was able to find. And again, being that you're living kind of with a second family, those things sometimes are noticeable, but the family at home may not notice this stuff. They may notice that you're irritable or things of that nature, but they may not realize, put two and two together, that maybe it's the pressures of the job that's causing those changes in your your behaviors. So supporting the mental health of our first responders, of course, requires a collective effort. We must have organizations that prioritize mental health within policies and practices such as EAP programs, employee assistance programs. Even if you're a volunteer fire department, I've always been an advocate that if you're providing free labor to a community, such as a county fire department or a small volunteer fire department, I would think the least that they could do is, if they offer the other employees an employee assistance, why not offer it to your firefighters who are providing free labor to help protect the citizens from fire protection. It's crucial to establish comprehensive mental health programs that provide education, resources, and access to confidential counseling services. Most EAPs that I've seen and been a part of, it allows for confidential counseling. There's ways that even though your community may be being billed or invoiced for the service, it's never really tied back to you and what you may have going on. So keep in mind, it's not just the traumatic incidents that happen. There may be problems at home with a child that you're dealing with that you need help with. There may be financial problems that you may need help with. I think we've talked about that before in a couple episodes, that it's not just post-traumatic stress. It's living life on life's terms, and dealing with that, and then trying to go to work and be a hero. But remember that it's not just the responsibilities of the organizations. We as individuals need to make a difference too. We can support our fellow first responders by actively listening, showing empathy, and providing a safe space, for open conversations about mental health. We talk at length, at times about responding to incidents or how we would handle certain situations, but it's probably pretty rare if you're like me that mental health is discussed. Here lately, it's been a big topic. And of course, as you get longer and older in your career, become more of a veteran, prioritizing self-care becomes important. The way I feel about my health and my mental aspects of things are much different than when I first joined the fire service. And we need to continue to promote that and remind those newcomers as they come in that, hey, you need to take care of your body and your mind. You need to. We can engage in stress reducing activities such as fitness, and other activities. And then as well as seek professional help when needed, and always encourage that assistance is available. Even if you don't have an employee assistance program, it's up to us to make sure everybody's aware of what's out there. A lot of people don't know what kind of programs are out there for different challenges that people face. There's so many different recovery programs for all different types of ailments that people have. Alcoholism, drug abuse, eating disorders. There's basically 12-step programs for all those types of challenges that people may face. So when we're talking about self-care, we need to know that it plays a significant role in maintaining mental well-being for our first responders, and taking care of oneself allows us to better handle the unique challenges we face. When we engage in regular exercise and activities that help reduce stress, like practicing relaxation techniques and finding hobbies or other activities that bring joy and fulfillment are super beneficial. So I don't know if y'all have ever had the opportunity to go to work and maybe you had an event going on or you were part of a project and there's certain days where you go home from work and you feel so fulfilled with what you accomplished. Maybe it was overcoming challenges at work. Maybe it was helping be a part of, like I said, a project. But there's a lot of times when we come home, or at least in my time here as a firefighter, there's many times I come home feeling very fulfilled. We got the truck back in service, or we were able to help a family out that just had a structure fire. We were able to give them some additional assistance, or what have you. There are certain days, and those days I wish they would occur more and more often, because it renews your spirit, and it renews your hope and how you're going to proceed throughout the rest of your career. Fostering social connections, both within and without of the profession, can provide a vital support network. So, encouraging social activities. Like I said, I'm a part of several fellowships that are separate from the fire service altogether. And we need to encourage that amongst our members. If you're constantly talking about work and work and work and work and work and this and that, and you have a tendency, if you're like me, you have a tendency to drive yourself nuts. And, there's other ways of relieving stress, like joining other fellowships. They're not going to talk about the day-to-day stuff that we talk about. It's like, you're leaving one environment and going in. I don't know, if you're an EMS provider, let's say you're on shift and you talk about typically the same kind of stuff day after day and incidents you respond to or challenges that the organization has. And then you go join a motorcycle club full of EMS people. Well, it's like just a bigger group of people talking about the same stuff. And I found it very helpful to join other organizations that don't care about any of that stuff, So for me, it's been very rewarding to be a part of, my religious community and some other fellowships. It helps take me out of the moment of being a first responder. So there is hope. There's good news. Progress has been made in addressing the mental health of first responders. There's a lot of work to be done, of course. There's some states that have passed bills and laws that help first responders and organizations develop peer groups. Some states have adopted, like I said, bills that require a certain outline you can't just go and open a mental health peer organization or something like that. There's actual guidelines. I know there's a few states that have that, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And we got to continue to raise awareness and advocate for better mental health support, eliminating the stigma associated with seeking help. And I think post-pandemic, the mental health overall of the whole world has been a hot topic. And I think people are realizing, and it's not, it's kind of like, it's more openly talked about. It's not as taboo as it used to be. And there's other things. There's other, the history of mankind. There's other things that have happened that end up not becoming such a big deal. I mean, just looking at the way society is and how open now people are to things that were questionable just 10 or 15 years ago. And whether good or bad, we just need to understand that the world's evolving. And same thing with mental health. I don't think people are going to lose their job because they come talk about, hey, I'm having some struggles with this. I think there's more of in other words, you don't get a stigma on you. Like I mentioned earlier, now employers and organizations are more willing to help. They understand now that there's issues there. It's not just a choice. There's things that come up where people need help, and there's a lot more compassion and empathy in regards to mental health, especially those who are first responders. So again, we're not only taking care of those who take care of us, but we are also creating a stronger and more resilient community and being more aware about mental health. So I encourage our listeners and our viewers to seek those opportunities to see what's out there. You just never know when somebody's struggling, and you never know when they're going to make possibly a bad decision that's going to last forever, when all that could have happened was just talking to somebody. And I've learned over the years that sometimes just listening helps individuals, and maybe not so much providing advice, but listening and offering examples of how I would have handled it, or this is how I had a similar situation and this is how I handled it, has been a big help. And I've been blessed to have some people come and ask me about stuff that they've gone through, and I've just explained, like, well, this is what happened, this is what I realized, this is what the outcome was, And a lot of times, to be honest with you, my spirituality comes out, and when in doubt, I rely on God, And it took me a long time to learn about that too. Even though I grew up in a religious environment and went to a religious school, after 47 years of life, I finally realized that I have a God that I can rely on, and no matter who that is in your life, I think everybody should have a God. And not to get on the religious topic, but I just wanted everybody to know that there's always hope. There's always a process. When you think there's no way out and there's nothing more you can do than perhaps take your life, there is processes. And if you let the processes work and get a little spiritual, I think you'll find a good outcome. It's been my experience that every setback is a setup for a comeback. And don't get me wrong. I mean, there's times I won't drive through certain intersections because I remember what happened there. There was about 3 years where I avoided a certain intersection because there was a few crosses placed at the location. And I wasn't even involved directly with the scene, but I just saw the way my team worked, and I was the incident commander for that incident. And I saw the way the team worked and saw what they did. And I just, even though I didn't see the traumatic results of that accident, I just avoided that intersection because I don't need a reminder, of what happened that night. So anyway, I want to reiterate that if you trust the process and look for these alternative methods to handle stress in life on life's terms, I encourage you to do that. And I think that, like I said, you're going to see a positive outcome. So again, I ask you, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the content, please, I invite you to subscribe. I think we're getting better and better at how we do stuff here. I got some other people helping me with content, and we're really enjoying it. And I look forward to seeing everybody and talking with everybody soon. Remember, you can find us on YouTube at Justifiably Proud Productions, and also we're on Buzzsprout, Justifiably Proud Productions at buzzsprout.com. And you can find us on all the major podcasting outlets. So with that, take care. We'll talk to you soon. Stay safe out there. If it's cooler in your area, you're lucky. It's been a bit miserable here in South Texas, but stay safe out there. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.